The text arrived during my presentation to 40 executives. Perhaps we need some time apart. I stared at my wife's message, my hands steady despite the earthquake in my chest. 20 minutes later, I typed back, "It's over. Your access is gone." By the time she realized I wasn't bluffing, her designer bags were already decorating our front lawn like expensive trash. But let me back up. I thought I knew my wife. Turns out, I just knew her schedule. Victoria Brennan was everything Boston's elite marketing world demanded: sharp-tongued, designer-dressed, and ruthlessly ambitious. At 35, she commanded rooms full of executives twice her age and made it look effortless. Our Beacon Hill townhouse was featured in Boston Magazine. Our marriage was the envy of our social circle. I should have known it was too perfect. The signs started small. Late nights that stretched past midnight. New lingerie that never made appearances at home. Phone calls that ended abruptly when I entered rooms. The cold shoulder that lasted weeks, not days. "Just stressed about the Hartwell account," she'd say, not looking up from her laptop. Marriage counseling crossed my mind, but Victoria had already dismissed it. "We don't need some stranger telling us how to communicate, Jake. We're adults." Right. Adults who apparently communicated through financial statements and social media posts. My military intelligence background taught me to trust patterns, not explanations. And the pattern was clear. My wife was disappearing, one late night at a time. The breaking point came during my cybersecurity presentation to Pinnacle Financial. 40 suits staring at charts about data vulnerabilities while I explained how insider threats posed the greatest risk to corporate security. Ironic, considering the insider threat sitting in my own home. Victoria's text lit up my phone. "Jake, I've been thinking. Perhaps we need some time apart to figure things out. Can we talk tonight?" My hands didn't shake. Military training runs deep. But something inside me crystallized. Cold, methodical, final. Here's what Victoria didn't know. I'd installed tracking software on our shared devices 3 months ago. Not out of paranoia, but professional habit. In cybersecurity, you monitor everything or you lose everything. While she thought she was being clever with her spontaneous late meetings and client dinners, I watched her digital footprints in real time. Location data, credit card usage, even her Uber routes. Every Thursday at 6:30 p.m., Grand Hyatt, downtown. Every Friday lunch, Cafe Luna, Back Bay. Every Sunday yoga class, actually the Ritz-Carlton Spa. With Trevor Blackwood, senior partner at Hammond and Associates, Victoria's boss. Married father of 3. I'd been hoping I was wrong, building a case I never wanted to prosecute. But hope is a luxury you can't afford when evidence starts mounting. Their favorite trick was using our joint corporate credit card for hotel rooms. Not just adultery, theft. And I had digital proof of every transaction. The presentation ended. 40 executives filed out, talking about firewalls and encryption protocols. I sat alone in the conference room, staring at Victoria's text. Then, I opened my laptop and began systematically destroying 2 lives. She thought I was just her stable, boring husband. She forgot I used to hunt terrorists for a living. The beauty of cybersecurity work is that everything leaves digital traces. People think they're being sneaky, but they're actually creating evidence trails that would make prosecutors weep with joy. Victoria and Trevor weren't just having an affair. They were building a criminal enterprise. My first discovery came through Trevor's expense reports, which Hammond and Associates carelessly stored on unsecured servers. $300,000 in client entertainment over 6 months. Hotels in cities where Hammond had no active clients. Restaurants that specialized in intimate corners and discreet service. Then I found the real treasure. Email threads between Victoria and Trevor discussing their exit strategy. They weren't just planning to leave their spouses. They were planning to steal client lists and start their own firm, corporate espionage, a federal crime. I called Ray Murphy, my old Army buddy who'd traded desert combat for Boston detective work. We met at Murphy's pub, where conversations got lost in sports commentary and clinking glasses. "Jake, you look like hell," Ray said, sliding a beer across the scarred wooden table. "Feel worse. Need to ask you something hypothetically." Ray's expression shifted. 20 years of friendship taught him when I was serious. "Hypothetically, I'm listening. If someone discovered corporate espionage and embezzlement, what would be the cleanest way to ensure justice without crossing legal lines? Hypothetically, anonymous tips to the right people. Ethics departments love paperwork trails, FBI loves financial crimes, and divorce attorneys love documented infidelity." Ray leaned back, studying my face. "This about Victoria?" "Hypothetically. Jake, be careful. Revenge is a full-time job, and it doesn't pay well." "It's not revenge, Ray. It's consequences." That night, I began building my case file. Screenshots of financial records, GPS data showing patterns of deception, credit card statements highlighting unauthorized usage, text message backups revealing the scope of their conspiracy. The most damaging discovery came from Victoria's laptop. She'd been recording conversations with my clients, gathering competitive intelligence for Trevor's firm, audio files labeled with client names and dates, industrial espionage at its finest. My wife wasn't just cheating on me. She was committing federal crimes in my own living room. Victoria came home at 1 a.m., designer heels clicking against our hardwood floors. She found me in my study, surrounded by printouts and glowing monitors. "Still working?" she asked, not looking at the evidence spread across my desk. "Just finishing something important." She kissed my forehead, a gesture that once meant everything, now felt like contamination. "I'm thinking of taking a few days off," she said. "Maybe we could go somewhere. Reconnect." I looked up at her. Still beautiful. Still dangerous. "That sounds perfect," I lied. She wanted space. I gave her exactly what she asked for, along with some consequences she never saw coming. Victoria's text arrived at 2:47 p.m. during my presentation. "Perhaps we need some time apart." My response was immediate. "It's over. Your access is gone." While Victoria sat in the Grand Hyatt bar, probably showing Trevor my message and laughing about my dramatic reaction, I was systematically dismantling her life. First, passwords. Banking, credit cards, investment accounts, even our shared Netflix subscription, changed and secured within minutes. Second, movers. Boston Elite Moving Services arrived at 4 p.m. with instructions to pack Victoria's belongings. Every item cataloged and photographed. I wasn't taking anything that wasn't legally mine, and I had documentation to prove it. Third, anonymous tips. Ethics departments at both Hammond and Associates and Victoria's firm received detailed reports about corporate espionage, embezzlement, and conflicts of interest. Just enough evidence to trigger internal investigations. Fourth, Lisa Blackwood. Trevor's wife deserved to know she was married to a criminal. Lisa picked up on the second ring. "Mrs. Blackwood, this is someone who cares about justice. Your husband is embezzling money to fund an affair with Victoria Brennan. I'm sending you proof." Silence. Then, I wondered when someone would finally call. Lisa Blackwood wasn't some helpless suburban wife. She was a former federal prosecutor who'd given up her career to raise 3 kids, which meant Trevor had picked the worst possible woman to betray. "I'll need everything you have," she said, her voice sharp as broken glass. "Already uploading to secure servers. You'll have access within an hour." "Thank you." Trevor has no idea what's coming. By 6 p.m., everything was in motion. Victoria's belongings sat neatly packed on our front steps. Divorce papers waited on the kitchen table. My laptop hummed with uploaded evidence files. I poured myself a bourbon and sat on the porch steps, watching Boston's evening traffic crawl through our neighborhood. Beacon Hill never looked more beautiful than when you were about to leave it behind. My phone buzzed. "Jake, what the hell is going on?" My cards aren't working. I typed back, check the front porch. 20 minutes later, Victoria's Audi screeched into our driveway. She sat behind the wheel for a full minute, staring at her life packed into neat boxes and suitcases. When she finally got out, her composed facade cracked. Jake, what is this? Consequences. She thought tears and apologies would work. She'd forgotten I don't negotiate with traitors. Victoria stood among her scattered belongings, designer clothes mixing with family photos and expensive shoes. Her perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide the panic in her eyes. Jake, we can work this out. I made a mistake, but… Mistake? I stood up, bourbon still in hand. Industrial espionage isn't a mistake, Victoria. It's a federal crime. Her face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. I opened my laptop and turned the screen toward her. Audio files, bank records, GPS tracking data, 3 months of documented betrayal. You recorded conversations with my clients. You stole proprietary information. You used our joint credit card to fund hotel rooms. You committed corporate espionage. Victoria's phone rang. Trevor's name flashed on the screen. Answer it, I said. Put it on speaker. She hesitated, then swiped the screen. Trevor's voice filled the evening air. Vic, what's happening? I just got a call from our ethics department. Something about an investigation. Jake knows, Victoria whispered. Knows what? How much does he… Everything, I said loudly enough for Trevor to hear, including the $300,000 you embezzled. The line went quiet. Then, I'm coming over. Trevor, don't… The call ended. Victoria looked at me with something approaching respect. You planned this. I responded to this. There's a difference. 20 minutes later, Trevor's silver Porsche roared up our street. He parked crooked, engine still running, and stormed across our lawn like he owned it. Trevor Blackwood, at 42, looked like Central Casting's idea of a successful executive. Silver hair, expensive suit, aggressive handshake. He'd probably intimidated hundreds of people with sheer presence. I wasn't one of them. Brennan, we need to talk. He grabbed for my laptop. Military instincts kicked in. I moved the laptop out of reach and positioned myself between Trevor and the evidence. Touch my property again, and this conversation gets physical. You think I'm afraid of some cybersecurity nerd? You should be afraid of the FBI agents who'll be reading your financial records tomorrow. Trevor's confidence faltered. He looked at Victoria, who was scrolling through her phone with increasing desperation. My cards are frozen, she said. All of them. That's impossible, Trevor said. I just transferred… His phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his face went pale. Lisa, he answered, trying to sound normal. His wife's voice came through crystal clear. Trevor, I'm at the bank with our attorney. Your accounts are frozen pending investigation of embezzlement charges. Don't come home. Don't contact the children. And Trevor? Yeah? I hope she was worth it. The line went dead. Trevor stared at his phone like it had bitten him. That's when Victoria tried to grab my laptop. She lunged across the porch, designer nails reaching for evidence that would destroy her. I caught her wrists easily, military training taking over. No violence, just control. Let go of me. Stop trying to steal evidence. Trevor stepped forward, fists clenched. Take your hands off her. I released Victoria and faced Trevor. Walk away. This doesn't concern you anymore. Everything about Victoria concerns me. Does corporate espionage concern you? Because that's what the FBI will be investigating. Trevor swung at me. Telegraphed haymaker, angry and desperate. I stepped aside, caught his arm, and used his momentum to put him face first against our brick wall. Not hard enough to injure, just hard enough to make a point. Stay down, I said quietly. Car doors slammed across the street. Ray Murphy climbed out of an unmarked police car, not in uniform, but definitely on duty. Evening, Jake. Heard there might be some raised voices over here. I'd texted Ray an hour ago, not for protection, but for witnesses. Everything needed to be documented and legal. Just a neighborly discussion about property rights, I said. Ray looked at Trevor, who was straightening his torn suit jacket. Then at Victoria, who clutched her phone like a lifeline. Finally at the boxes of belongings scattered across our front porch. Looks like moving day, Ray observed. Something like that. Victoria found her voice. He's destroyed everything. Our marriage, my career, my life. You did that yourself, I said. I just provided the evidence. Trevor's phone rang again. This time it was Hammond and Associates. He declined the call, then another, then another. They know, he said to Victoria. We can fix this, she said desperately. We can explain. Explain what? That we committed federal crimes together? The street had grown quiet except for distant traffic and the hum of air conditioners. Ray remained by his car, present but not interfering, the perfect witness. Victoria tried one last manipulation, tears, real ones, sliding through expensive makeup. Jake, I love you. This was just... I was confused. Please. I looked at her, really looked, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no residual affection, just empty space where my marriage used to be. You recorded my client's confidential information. You stole from our joint accounts. You committed crimes in my house, using my trust as cover. I never meant... You meant every bit of it. You planned it. You executed it. You just didn't plan on getting caught. Trevor's phone buzzed with a text. He read it and sat down heavily on our porch steps. I'm fired, he said. Criminal investigation pending. Victoria looked between Trevor and me, finally understanding that her world had collapsed completely. What do you want? She asked. Nothing from you. Ever. I walked back to my laptop and began shutting it down. The evidence was already uploaded, backed up, and distributed. My part was finished. Jake, Victoria said softly. After everything we had together, this is how it ends? I looked at her one more time. This is how you ended it. I just provided the consequences. Ray walked over, notebook in hand. Everyone okay here? No physical altercations? None, I said. Just people learning about accountability. Trevor stood up, brushing dirt from his expensive suit. This isn't over, Brennan. Yes, it is. He grabbed Victoria's hand. Come on. We need to figure out our next move. They walked toward his Porsche, designer luggage forgotten on the sidewalk. Two people who'd destroyed everything they touched, finally touching each other. Ray waited until they drove away before approaching me. You sure about this, Jake? Once this train leaves the station, it doesn't come back. It left the station 3 months ago. I just bought a ticket. I gathered Victoria's remaining belongings and set them neatly by the street. Tomorrow, the city would collect them like any other trash. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mr. Brennan, this is Lisa Blackwood. Thank you for the evidence. My attorney says it's more than enough. Trevor will face federal charges by Friday. I typed back, justice, not revenge. Sometimes they're the same thing. Watching them realize they'd destroyed themselves was almost worth the pain of their betrayal. The next 48 hours unfolded like dominoes falling in perfect sequence. Victoria's firm fired her before lunch on Thursday. Corporate espionage violations, they said. Effective immediately. Security escort to the parking garage. Personal items shipped later. Trevor faced federal charges for embezzlement on Friday morning. 3 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of conspiracy, and enough evidence to guarantee conviction. His partnership at Hammond and Associates dissolved faster than sugar in rain. But the most satisfying moment came Saturday evening. I was reviewing security proposals in my home office when my doorbell rang. Victoria stood on my porch, no longer the polished executive I'd married. She looked hollow, desperate, wearing clothes I'd never seen before. Jake, we need to talk. We have nothing to discuss. I'm pregnant. I almost laughed. Instead, I opened my laptop and played an audio file from 3 weeks ago. Victoria's voice, crystal clear, talking to Trevor about their backup plan. If everything falls apart, I can always claim pregnancy. Men get stupid about babies. It's like a reset button for relationships. Trevor's voice responded, "Good thing you took care of that problem last month. Kids would complicate everything." Victoria's face crumbled as she listened to her own words. The medical records I'd found confirmed it. She'd had a procedure to ensure pregnancy wouldn't interfere with their plans. "You recorded that? You recorded my clients. Turnabout is fair play." She tried one final manipulation. "Jake, you've destroyed 2 families. Trevor's kids will grow up without their father." Trevor destroyed his family when he chose embezzlement over integrity. You destroyed ours when you chose espionage over loyalty. Victoria stared at me, maybe seeing clearly for the first time. "I never meant for it to go this far." "Yes, you did. You planned every step. You just never planned for consequences." She nodded slowly, tears mixing with resignation. "What happens now?" "You figure out your life without committing crimes. Trevor faces federal prison. I move forward." "And us?" "There is no us. There never really was." Victoria walked back to her rental car. Her Audi had been repossessed that morning. She paused at the driver's door. "For what it's worth, I did love you. Once. Maybe you did. But love doesn't excuse betrayal." She drove away, and I knew I'd never see her again. My phone rang. Ray Murphy. "Jake, thought you should know. Trevor tried to access his Cayman Islands accounts this afternoon. Turns out his wife froze those too. Federal prosecutors are having a field day. How'd Lisa manage that? Former federal prosecutor, remember? She knew exactly which laws Trevor had broken and how to freeze assets before he could hide them. Poetic justice. The best kind. I walked back into my house now, not ours, and poured another bourbon. Outside, Boston's evening traffic hummed through Beacon Hill. Inside, everything was quiet. My laptop chimed with new emails. 3 potential clients, referred by Pinnacle Financial. Apparently, word was spreading about my discretion and thoroughness in handling sensitive situations. I opened the first inquiry and began reading. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new cases, new opportunities to protect people from the insider threats they trusted most. Through my office window, I could see where Victoria's belongings had sat for 2 days. The spot was clean now, like nothing had ever been there. She'd wanted space. I gave her all the space in the world and filled mine with something better, peace.